What's going on, you guys? My name is Hugh, and welcome back after a month of not opening it. Yep, I forgot to talk. And it's mainly because of this one part, which I know you guys are super excited, so I'm not going to keep you waiting. Welcome to the first part of the DANTE cosplay. Let's rock. Alrighty, let's get started on this crazy, stressful project, shall we? So I grabbed these files off of Etsy, which I'll leave a link in the description below if you guys want to go check it out. I orientated these products in a way where I could be able to print multiple at the time. So one file had all the smaller increment parts that were going to be the functional parts, and a couple other files had the bigger pieces like the slide, the barrel, the grip. And then I did one file where it had the frames all in one file as well. Some of these prints took 16 hours and some of them took 20 or 48 hours depending on how I wanted the settings to be as far as printing specific details and how the quality was going to come out. But the printing was the longest portion of this build since it took almost 2.5 weeks to print every single thing that I needed. Once all those pieces were printed, it's time to start sanding, grinding, and breaking off all those little supports that are holding everything together. I do want to mention that even the sanding, grinding, and the breaking of the supports took a while to do as well, mainly because I didn't want to break anything, but I also had to make sure all the pieces were sanded down and grinded enough to either get rid of any imperfections or just to make sure that the pieces are going to cooperate together when you start piecing this whole thing together. Don't mind me why I'm so far away. It's because I forgot to mention I had to sand all those pieces to make sure that they fit inside the barrel, the frame, and everything else. That's what you see me doing, is testing anything, making sure it works. Got that? Okay, it's another week later, and as you can see, there's a big mess on my desk, and I saved you guys the time lapse of me sanding everything because it was a lot of work and it was really boring to watch. However, this is what we're dealing with as far as the functionality of this thing. I've reverted to tearing apart one of my old airsoft guns, which don't work anymore, and I've used a little spring from it right here to kind of keep everything intact. So unfortunately the trigger's dead, so I have to kind of push it back where it needs to go. But the hammer, however, does flick back because of that spring in there. And I just broke it. But everything else is good. Whoop. This has no functionality. This is just glued on. And you also notice, hey, wait a minute. This is a white printout. What happened to the gray one? Well, let me explain to you. So here's the gray printouts that my computer did, and it kind of fudged on the back part, which you can see it's missing the little lip on the end of it, and also the file came out really rough. And I stopped because the print that I made was already done goofed anyway, even though it took almost 48 hours to print, which is ridiculous. So I had Ray reprint me his own frames, or I gave him the files to print the frames for me, and these turned out a lot smoother. He had a faster printer, a different set of PLA material, and his settings were a lot quicker, they're a lot more fine-tuned, and this is so much easier to work with. I didn't have to do a lot of sanding, I didn't have to do a lot of prep work. But if you do decide to pick up one of these or try to get the file yourself, you may have to improvise some stuff like I did here. I had to improvise the hammer to get a little spring going there, but it works for the most part. I think it's just gonna be like one of those what do you call it, it's like an action figure. It poses in different ways, but it doesn't have any functionality to it. You got all that? Alright, let me go ahead and sand this thing a little bit to get it painted, and we go from there. Alright, time for my favorite part. Let's start painting these pieces. I had a little bit of this universal silver sitting in my garage, so I wanted to try it on ivory. It gave it a nice brushed silver look, and that's exactly what I was going for with her. So we're going to do 2 light to 2 medium coats of this paint on her. Now for Ebony, I had some of that low gloss black left over from when I did the katana sheath, so we're going to use that exact same color on Ebony's frame and other components. Now for the grips, I had a little bit of this bronze color left, which was the closest thing I had to a wood color. So we're going to use a little bit of that. 2 medium coats on the grips and we should be good. Now both frames did come out white, so I had to make sure I primered them first, then hit Ebony's frame with the black and Ivory's with that silver. While all that stuff that I spray painted was being dried, which did take a couple of days to dry fully, I wanted to start hand painting these bullet pieces. Gonna use my favorite gold metallic paint that I've always used on all my pieces, and we're gonna be painting these that same color. And then I also bought this beautiful metallic copper color, and then we're going to be painting the top of the bullet that. Damn, these things literally came out like actual 9mm bullets. It's just ridiculous how realistic these are. While I was waiting for those bullets to dry, I went ahead and hand painted all the little individual components that are going to be inside both Ivory and Ebony. Some of these pieces you may not see in full, but on the outside of the guns you're going to be seeing them for sure. So I had to make sure these details were paid attention to. Now that everything's fully dried, let's take one look at these pieces before we start assembling this thing. Enjoy the freshly painted pieces, the slide, the triggers, the magazines, the bullets, before they start getting crammed inside of Ebony and Ivory. And there's a long process of painting, sanding, more painting, and sanding. They all should look a little something like this. And here we are with the finished product. The only downside to these, because the gentleman did say, at least advertise, that you can be able to pull the trigger and it also works with the hammer at the same time. However, that is not the case with the file I got. I don't know if it was a dupe or because I was missing some pieces in the file, but I was able to get these things to work as more of an action figure. So they're prop guns, they don't need to work, they don't need to have any intention to work. However, I do like the aesthetics of being able to either pull the trigger and it clicks back where it goes, or in this case, I was able to get the hammers to sit where they need to go. Wow, that was satisfying. Here, listen to the sound effect. Ebony has like the best spring that I found out of an old airsoft gun, so listen to this. Ooh. Ivory has like I found a thicker spring. She likes it thick. So the hammer's a little harder to pull back, but it's still got the same sound. Check it out. Oh, I didn't do it. There we go. So it's similar, and I was able to make the hammers work because of that. And I didn't have a certain component that's supposed to go in the back of here that was supposed to be a rigidative piece to help push back the other components, and then blah 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 blah. I glued the triggers down so you can't accidentally pull it and it gets stuck in the guard here. So you can just place your fingers on there and they won't move, but that's fine. However, I'll take Ebony for an example, because Ebony has it a lot more smoother than Ivory does. You can be able to pull the slides back, and I was able to design this in a way you can pull the slide back to see inside the breech. Check it out. And if you also see, the hammer retracted back too as soon as I pulled the slide back, and you see the barrel up in front too. And inside, I shot it on camera for the cinematic shot, you can see the chamber or the bullet inside of it. There you go. Which is pretty cool. Like, that's a really interesting aesthetic for both of these guys. The only thing bad about this is that I have to kind of forcefully push it back without trying to break it, and the hammer goes back. This was hard to do, this mag release button, because it just goes straight through the frame, but it does click. You can hear that? And it slides out. And this took me a minute to shave all of this. I didn't get a lot of the sanding on camera. I think that's good because I want to bore you guys with all that. So, but I did a lot of sanding inside the mag spot to get this magazine to slide in and out without having to get stuck or something. It's such a cool little aesthetic, and I absolutely love the attention to detail. Come on, camera. There you go. I love the attention to detail with this. It looks legit, doesn't it? It looks like a legit, I guess 9mm bullet or something. I guess it's a 9mm. Correct me if I'm wrong. Ivory, on the other hand, is a little bit tougher. I don't know why she wants it thicker. I have no idea. I'm not going to complain. So the girl wants it thicker, wants it harder. You know what? I'm going to stop with that. So same situation. This is going to be a little harder to push. Oh, maybe not. I actually got no problem. And I got to wiggle the magazine a little bit, and it comes out. I don't know why I still can't get the inside of it to not catch the mag when I try to slide this back in. Ivory's a little different. I got to pull the hammer back first. Again, because it is a heavier hammer, then pull the slide back. So you can see inside, there's a little bullet in there. And you could just prop it up like this with maybe like, I don't know, so you just prop it up like this or something on your display. It's like the guns aren't even ready to go yet until you load it, lock it all back down, and then you're good to go. I wanted to make sure these guns look really good as far as the detail, paint work, and I forgot to mention, I got screws in them. I actually found random screws just sitting around, and I actually was able to throw them in there. So these two actually have two different style screws, if you can kind of see. Ebony has these washer head style, and then Ivory has like the regular bolt style. If you guys want to, like I said, try to print these yourselves and modify them, build them however you want as far as the functionality and stuff, link down in the description below if you guys want to try it out. I'm going to take a break. 3D printing after these two girls, man, took it out of me. Also, the office is back in order. It's not a freaking mess anymore. That was also why I was out for a month. Building all this nonsense back behind here. But I'm done talking. This was exhausting, but these girls, absolutely gorgeous. If you guys enjoyed this first part of the Dante costume build, be sure to give it a fat, oh, I gotta come up with something clever. Hold on. Jackpot like. Oh, that was terrible. Be sure to give it a fat jackpot like, and I'll see you goons in the next part.